Hey there, it's David H. Lawrence, the 17th. We're one day away from the AMA. One more video, this one, and I'll be doing at least the first AMA, Ask Me Anything episode. So that'll be episode 100. Very excited about that. We're doing an episode a day, every day for this year, and it's getting more and more fun for me. And today, I get to share with you something that I am passionate about. I am passionate about the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. When I first read it, I must have been, 13, 14 years old. And I think a lot of people are introduced to this early in life, and they think to themselves, wow, this isn't what I thought life was all about. This isn't what I see in movies and on television and I listen to from my friends. Wow, this is great. And usually what you find is people talking about Napoleon Hill's laws of success, which are in Think and Grow Rich, and they're just as relevant today as they were back in 1937 when the book was first published. But along with his rules for success, which are all throughout the book, I heard a rare radio address by him. It was actually a live broadcast of a meeting he was speaking at. And there, instead of rules of success, he gave 10 rules for self-discipline, which I find just as fascinating as be active and be, like all the rules for success. You can go read the book or listen to the audiobook. There are many versions of it. It's just seminal. It's just awesome. But I wanted to share with you the laws of self-discipline, or the rules of self-discipline that he gave in this speech. The first one is stay cool when the other fella gets hot. Now, he did this speech in the late 30s, early 40s. So almost everything is referred to by the male pronoun. So bear with that. It's not meant to offend. Stay cool when the other fella gets hot. And that is so hard for some people to do, especially in today's world of divisiveness and tribalism and I'm right, you're wrong. I'm going to really let you have it with all the barrels, because the internet allows you to do that. You have that anonymity that lets you be a lot harsher than you would be if you were within striking distance of the person that you were talking to. But it makes all the difference in the world when you can calm things down and you can just say, okay, I'm not going to get exercised about this. I know this person is angry, but I'm not going to match that level of anger. I'm just going to stay cool. And it diffuses things. And it sometimes frustrates people when you're not getting as upset as they are. And it makes them cool down anyway. So, number one. Number two, remember there are always three sides to any argument. There's your side, there's her side, and I'm saying her because he said his side, and then there's the right side. Have you ever been in a situation where you are 100% correct and the person that you're at odds with is 100% incorrect? Usually, it's somewhere in between, sometimes way to one end or the other, but usually it's about halfway in between, or some version of that, right? And if you can remember that, then it makes it easier to accept when maybe you weren't quite right in what you were saying. Number three, never give directives to subordinates when you're angry. And that's kind of along the lines of never go to sleep with your spouse if you're angry. Don't let things cool down. Let things have time to sort of settle, and that initial rush of anger pass, because you'll be a lot more effective in coming up with a solution if you're working from a less exercised, less agitated space. Number four, he says, treat everyone as though they are rich relatives who you suspect will remember you in their will. I just think that's genius. I think it is, because you never know. It's like I always say, you never know what golden nuggets are laying on the floor, and you never know in whose pockets those golden nuggets are. How many times have you been surprised when you find out somebody's background or somebody's skill set or somebody's influence? Oh, wow. So you're kind of important then. And if you practice that, it goes a whole lot better for you. Treat everybody as though they are rich relatives who you suspect will remember you in their will. If you knew somebody was going to give you $1 million, if you were nice to them, you'd be nicer to a lot more people. Number five, look for the seed of an equivalent benefit in every unpleasant circumstance you'll encounter. Some of these rules are just poetic in their sentence structure, but this is basically you can always find something to learn from things that are considered failures or mistakes or a waste of time as opposed to successes and positive movements forward. You can always find that seed of learning in something that didn't quite work out. And I love the value of that. Learn the seed of an equivalent benefit in every unpleasant circumstance you'll encounter. Number 6, he says, learn the almost forgotten art of listening to the answer to a question that you've asked. We often ask questions and we don't care what the other person answers. We don't care because we've already got it in our head what we think the answer should be. And if it isn't that, well, then by God, they're wrong. But what if you actually listen to the answer? How many times have you been surprised by the answer that someone has given you to a question that you've asked? We tend to jump right past that and go, I know that already. I'm going to ask you this question just because I want to move the conversation along. So think about that. Think about that. And always ask this of someone who you're still sure of is mistaken about what they're saying. How do you know that? How do you know? Where did you learn that? What's the source of that? It's not an inquisition. It's just, I'd like some more information on why you think what you think. How do you know? You know, if somebody is dead sure that they're right, that bi-monthly is, is only every 2 months, well, how do you know that? Let's take a look at the authority on that. Number 7, never say or do anything which may influence another person until you answer this question for yourself. Will I help them or will I hurt them if I tell them what I know and what I think? You know, I have some very strong opinions on certain things, and there are times when I just simply keep them to myself because I don't want to insult somebody. I don't want to harm them. They are shades of an opinion, not fact, and it could be offensive. It could be really saddening for people. And I'm sure you have very similar things. Now, some people are just hell-bent to let the world know what they think and be damned. But what we're talking about here is getting along with human beings. And human beings are very complex creatures. And they can take offense very easily, even more easily today. And they can lash out. So just, think about whether what you have to say will be helpful or hurtful before you say it. I think that's a good filter to use. Number 8, learn the difference between friendly analysis and unfriendly criticism. Then decide which you'd like to engage in for the rest of your life. Would you like to be friendly and connected and helpful and say, hey, let's take a look at this and see if there's some better way to do this? Or would you rather be, you did that wrong. There is a better way to do this and you should do it this way. We find that as an option all through life. We jump to conclusions that people are doing things wrong and they have to be corrected. And I'm just as guilty of it as anybody. Betsy says, I have a very big job because I see things that are wrong and I want to correct them. I mean, it's a natural human thing. But the idea of friendly analysis versus unfavorable criticism, people are going to be more apt to listen to you if you're friendly about your approach. Like, hey, can we talk about this? There's just some things I'd like to point out and bring up that maybe might be more helpful. Number 9, he says, remember that a good leader is someone who takes orders as cheerfully as he gives them or she gives them. Taking an order from a subordinate is something that I relish in. I want the people that I work with and that I supervise and that I form a team around me. I want them to tell me what is happening. I want them to tell me what they want me to do. I don't want them to think that I'm the only one that has the answers. I want to surround myself with people that have a lot more knowledge about things than I do. And that's hard for the ego sometimes when you know that the person that is on your team and that you're supervising has more knowledge about something than you do. It can be. So just know that you should be able to take direction and take an order just as easily as you give direction and give an order. And then finally, number 10, this is a very interesting one. Remember that tolerance in human relations is just as important as tolerance in the operation of mechanics. And I really had to unpack that one because that was like, what? So when you design an engine, for example, mechanics, just a simple, a switch or a lever or something. It's designed with a certain tolerance. So you have to push it all the way to make it work. You have to press the button 4 times to make something happen, whatever it is. But machines are built to have tolerance, meaning if you push it only 3/4 of the way, it'll help you by going a little bit further. The point is, you can't predict what people are going to do with mechanics, and you certainly can't count on the fact that every human being in the world is perfect, including you. So there needs to be some tolerance about those little tiny variances, even some bigger variances, in the way people behave, in the way they perform, in the way they think, in the way they feel. And the more you're open to those tolerances, the more you're open to those variances, the easier it's going to be for you in life. It's going to be a lot easier if you can just go, oh, well, that's what they do. Demand perfection if you choose to, but be ready for people to be human, right? I just love these. I love those. I'm probably going to put them in the actual blog post on votogogo.com so you can go check them out. But this is my analysis of this set of rules of self-discipline from Napoleon Hill. Do get Think and Grow Rich, because there's all kinds of stuff in there that kind of are adjacent to these, and they are awesome. So tomorrow, or next time you see this video, it's going to be me doing the AMA. If you want to get your last minute question in, send me an email to davidlawrence@gmail.com. Put in the subject line if you have a question for me, and you can ask me anything. That's what an AMA is. AMA question. And we'll be answering the first set of those questions in our next video. If you'd like to subscribe to my YouTube channel and find out when that next video is coming out, go ahead and click on my head there. And if there's no head there, there's a subscribe button somewhere on the page here. If you want to see the latest video I've done, go ahead and click on that frame, and they'll take you to YouTube and play it. I'm David H. Lawrence the 17th. I thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you tomorrow.